Alhamdulillah, wa salatu salamu ala Rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, amma ba'd. I greet you, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And we pray that on this beautiful day of Jumu'ah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses you with acceptance of all your du'as, and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inspires you to do that which pleases Him. Our first step towards pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is repentance. And secondly, to learn to inculcate the Sharia into our lives. The easiest way to bring the Sharia into our lives is to inculcate the simple sunnah of Muhammad SAW. Slowly but surely, one sunnah at a time. Start with one sunnah, build ourselves up. Start with the second, then add another sunnah and build yourself up. Like that, we can comfortably, if you add a sunnah every 40 days, by the end of the year you would have added at least 9 sunnahs to your life. At least 9 sunnahs to your life. That's 90 sunnahs in 10 years time, and it's very, very easy to make that a part of your life. In fact, there's a very nice little booklet called 100 Sunnahs of the Beloved Nabi, right? Pyare Nabi ke 100 sunnat hai. Right, it's in Urdu, but it's been translated into English. And there are many sunnahs that we already do, but many of them we do not knowing it's sunnah, right? So what we try to do is identify the ones that we're already doing, and then identify the ones that we would like to bring into our lives slowly but surely. And the second to this, like point 2a was just mentioned, point 2b now, is make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to assist you to bring the sunnah into your life. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for us. One of the beautiful sunnah of all the Anbiya alayhimu salatu wasalam is what we find in the hadith in Sahih Bukhari, where Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says that every Nabi was a shepherd. So the Sahaba asked, even he said, yes, I was also a shepherd. I used to guard the flock of goats or sheep for the people of Makkah for a few pennies. Now, you may ask yourself, what was the need for the Anbiya alayhimu salatu wasalam to be shepherds? Well, I'm sure many of us have heard the term sheeple, right? So people in many respects are like sheep. And I'm going to tell you this from a statistical point of view. I had a discussion with a brother here who was in maritime training and in, fire brigade training, that kind of a thing, fire officer training, and also in, not conflict resolution, but you know when there's like a bomb explodes in a mall, how do you go and manage that effectively, right? So he says that people are divided into 3 categories. 80% of people, if a bomb goes off in a mall, will just run pandemonium in a flat spin and go ballistic. That's the vast majority of people. You get the 12% odd of people who will stand still and not know what to do. And then you get 8% of people who would walk towards the problem to identify what the issue is and then be able to make a rational decision as to how to manage the situation effectively. So what the maritime and this fire training is about is to identify the 8% of people who can assist you to use the 12% that don't know what to do to manage the 80% that are running helter-skelter. Right. So sheep are very much the same, by the way. You get one scarpy that decides to do something, and half of them, a major proportion of them don't know what to do, the others are just running. So the others that are running will see the few that are following, the couple that make a decision, and they'll all just end up going in the same direction, right? Then you get the odd man out who will just disappear or run off on his own, and they don't respond to reason. And you just have to keep calling them and herd them and goad them. Like there was a beautiful story, Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, who was also a shepherd, by the way, and one day one little lamb decided to run amok, and he just couldn't get this lamb, and eventually after having chased this lamb in the valley for hours and hours, it dropped down in just fatigue, and he went and he picked up the lamb and he put it on his lap and he looked at it and stroked it and he said, if you didn't want to have mercy on me, at least you could have had mercy on yourself. So you see how the Anbiya alayhimu salatu wasalam were trained in being shepherds. But there are a number of lessons that we can learn. The first lesson that we learn is that being a shepherd gives you the opportunity to actually separate yourself from people, and it gives you a lot of time to be on your own. It gives you a lot of time to kind of center yourself and introspect and think and just ponder, because you're sitting for hours and hours on your own in the wilderness or in the fields looking after sheep. They have to be taken there, that's the difficulty, and they have to be brought back safely. But while they're there, they're just running around doing their thing. So, similarly, a Nabi needs that skill to be able to manage people to the destination that they need to get to and manage them on their way back. Like a person, for instance, as a manager, for instance, in a business, or as a father and a parent in a house. And this is what Rasulullah said, that all of you are shepherds and all of you are responsible for their flock, right? So a parent, we have to kind of goad and hold our children into the right direction and channel them into the direction that they need to be in so they can be successful human beings. And just like every little sheep has his own personality or her own personality, and the Nabi knows the temperament of all the sheep, that's why this one you will deal with this in this way, and this one you will deal with in another way. Similarly, we need to learn how to engage with people, each one on their own level. And this brings us to another hadith, أَنزِلُوا النَّاسِ مَنَازِلَهُمْ. Treat people according to their level. Speak to people and communicate with people on the level that they're able to understand, and get the message across to people on a level that they're able to understand. So the Nabi has the time to think and ponder and introspect and just kind of, center himself as a person and learn patience, tolerance. And this is why we also need to learn from this, that as much as a shepherd takes his flock in the right direction and monitors them, but a lot of time is spent introspecting, and we need to learn to introspect as well. Take time daily to speak to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Brother and sister in Islam, even if it's in your car on the way to work, or as a child in the car on the way to school, how is my relationship with Allah? Why didn't I read my salah? Did I read my salah? Why didn't I read in the masjid? Did I read in the masjid? Did I concentrate? Why not? Think about all these things. Think about your relationship with Allah. Think about the gifts that Allah has given you. And speak to Allah in your heart. If we learn to talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our hearts, that is our step towards getting a consciousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all the time. Second thing, like I explained, people are like sheep. That's what they're called, sheeple. Because most of them will only just do what everybody else is doing, right? The idea is to effectively manage those that don't think processes and things through, and use those that do follow instructions to assist you to guide those who don't. And this is a gift of a Nabi. The gift that was taught to a Nabi through being a shepherd. And it is something that you and I as people can also learn to inculcate in our lives. That, like I explained, every sheep has its own little personality, and you have to deal with each sheep on that level. And then also, sheep don't really have much cognitive skills, right? And many people are so caught up in their own lives, and they are so caught up in the problems and difficulties and challenges that they're facing, that they can't think clearly. So we're not saying that they don't have cognitive skills. We're just saying that they are so blinded by the situation that their minds don't operate objectively. And when you become subjective and emotional, you can't think straight and you don't act rationally. Now, in order to communicate with somebody who is being irrational because of an emotional state, or because of difficulty, or because they're stuck in a situation they can't see it from outside, in order to communicate with that person effectively, to draw them out of that problem and guide them in the right direction, is a skill that we need to learn. And this is a skill that the Anbiya alayhi salatu wasalam were taught through herding sheep. Right? Number 3, being a shepherd makes you soft and tender, but brave as well. Because you never know what your scarpies are going to do tomorrow. Like just today, I walked in here to record this lecture. My eyes are already closing. I've had such a busy day. Because you wake up today and every day is a new day. Every day is a new challenge. Every day has got its own kind of things that need to be done and fulfilled. And today is just one of those very Mubarak days. Right? So being a shepherd, you need to be, and as all of us being shepherds to our family, we never know what we're going to face today. Anything could happen. So we need to be soft-natured and patient and tolerant like a shepherd. I promise you, if a shepherd is going to get angry and shout and scream, he'll die of a heart attack before he manages the sheep. So we need to learn to become patient and calm, because that is the only way you're going to be able to effectively deal with sheep. Now, with people around us, I'm not saying to dehumanize them or to condescend, but if we think of them as sheep and I'm a shepherd unto my flock, then to be tolerant and patient as a shepherd would be with sheep. Let us be like that with our people. And when the time comes for us to be brave and go and rescue one sheep out of the problem and the challenge that they're facing, let us be brave and go and save that sheep from his problem, right? Number four, it shows that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because he, as a young man, and this is obviously building on Youth Day, as a young man understood that I have to go and earn, and even if it's a small amount of money, it is still an honest living. Problem with youth today is we want to leave matric and we want to walk into CEO positions. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that in life. And a very important lesson that I learned, and that everybody needs to learn, especially as a young person, you need to work your way up. Nobody starts at the top. We walk out of school and we think, yeah, I can also be a CEO, see what he does. I mean, his work is so easy. He walks in the office at 10 o'clock, he leaves at 12. All he did was sign a couple of papers. I can do that. But he built that company from scratch. You know, I see a lot of Indian people, they do this with their children, right? And I understand why. Father's got a shop, Nana and Sons, you know, enterprises or whatever it is. And when the boys finish, even when they're in high school already, they must sweep out the shop, they must pack the shelves. When they progress a little bit further, now they can become store attendants, and they can help on the floor manage not manage, but kind of help the customers. After that, they get behind the till. After that, they get a manager position. And then after that, when they know how the business operates, from sweeping the floor to the till, to the books, to managing, to how the customers walk in and out, then only do they get given a share or a partnership in the business. Then only is the business handed over to them. How else was he supposed to know how the business works and effectively operate it if he didn't actually go and learn from the ground up? Because his father built it from the ground up. Do you understand? So, like that, the Prophet ﷺ understood that he also has to earn a necessary living, and he can't become a sponge and leech of society. So even if my contribution may be something small like being a shepherd, it's still a necessary and a wholesome and honest contribution, an honest living that I'm earning. May Allah give us tawfiq. It also shows us the simplistic lifestyle of the Anbiya alayhimu salatu wasalam. Musa alayhi salam, think about it, comes from the palace of Fir'aun. He was raised as a king, okay, raised like a prince, living a royal life. But when he ended up in Madian, he became a shepherd and he was herding sheep. So to live a simple, modest life that is honest and clean, and to have good qualities and attributes as a shepherd would, and as the Anbiya alayhimu salatu wasalam learned from being a shepherd, what better life could you have than being a contributing citizen, simple, honest, upright, decent? Understand what I'm saying? Allah give us tawfiq and understanding. It brings me to another story quickly. Abdullah bin Umar radiallahu anhu went up to a shepherd. I think he was with a group of people, and he said to the shepherd, don't you want to give us a flock of just give us a sheep here, man, so we can eat. He said, I can't, my master's, it's not my sheep, it's my master's sheep, I'm looking after it for my master. So he said, yeah, but is your master's not going to know? He said, yes, but I have the ultimate master who can see everything I'm doing. Abdullah bin Umar said, okay, well, where's your master? It turns out he was a slave. Told the master, you know what? How much for the slave and how much for your flock? So the man gave a price. He bought the slave, he bought the flock, and he gave the entire flock of sheep to the slave. And he said, this is for your honesty. Think about that. These are simple qualities and attributes that we have lost in society. I mean, how many people are engaged in all kinds of funky business just to make money? Nobody cares where the money is coming from as long as it keeps coming, right? So a simple, honest life that we learn from the Anbiya alayhimu salatu wasalam is what is important. And then lastly, I'm going to end with this, the sixth point for today's discussion, is that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam was not shy to share his humble beginnings with everybody. And there is nothing wrong with having some old clothes, having some broken shoes, having some poor friends. In fact, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam preferred to hang out with the poor people because they were humble. They don't boast, they're not arrogant, they don't speak about, oh, I did this, I did that, oh, I put this one down, oh, you should have seen, I made him a skivvy. They don't talk like that. They're humble and they're simple. And this is something that most of us need to consider. A humble beginning is a good thing to teach you lessons in life. There is nothing that can teach you lessons in life like an empty pocket, a hungry stomach, and a simple life. Simple life, some old clothes, some simple, down-to-earth friends. And then my humble request is, let us learn also from the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam that when you start making it in life, don't forget your humble beginnings. Mention it, speak about it. The famous story of Mahmud and Ayaz, Mahmud Ghaznawi, the king of Ghazna, and Ayaz, who was his like a young boy that he pulled off the street and made him his personal assistant. And he used to sneak into the royal treasury every night, take off his royal garments, put on the slave clothes that he was wearing when he was found on the street by the king, and then remind himself and tell him that this is who you are. And that, those royal clothes, that is what the king has given you. Never forget where you come from and never lose appreciation for what you've received. So this is something that we all need to learn. Let's take this lesson from the simple life of a shepherd that the Anbiya alayhi salatu wasalam lived. Simple, honest, introspective, humble, gentle, courageous when you need to be, and the ability to reason and speak and communicate with every kind of person on their level, to be an effective person in society. Don't be a sheep yourself. Be one of those few that are able to assist others to manage the rest. May Allah give us tawfiq and understanding. Whatever I've said that is correct is only from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the barakah of His Rasul, and the great benefit I've derived from my teachers. Whatever I've said that is incorrect is only my nafs and shaitan, and me falling prey to his whisperings, and Allah and His Rasul are resolved completely. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik.